Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the championship finale of Endurance for Amateurs 2024 Season 1, the end of this long 20-race season at our Ritual Championship decider, Watkins Glen. Tonight's race is brought to you by Ninja Botanicals and AlienAwards.net, and tonight is a 90-minute race with GTD and GTP class cars as the final race of the GTP class era in this championship. Last week, championship leader Nick Terrell got just his third win on the season after starting back in fourth. Nick Paletti finished second with the first podium of the year for third place John Kelly. Contender Paul Skip classified in fourth, not finishing the tricky wet race at Le Mans. Terrell's scant lead last week now has grown to a monster 11 points, with Nick Paletti hopping Paul Skip by a single point into second. Terrell secures the championship tonight with either a podium finish or the minimum 3 safety points for less than 10 incidents. Paul Skip's best possible effort would leave him 1 point short of Nick Terrell's current total, but Nick Paletti, if he wins the race, has 0 incidents, and Nick Terrell was fourth or worse with more than 10 incidents, Paletti would tie Terrell on points and win on a 4-3 win countback. GTDA was won last week for the second time by Sheldon Rosenbaum, the only driver other than Ken Huber with multiple wins, as Tony Watson earned his first podium of the season, just a second back in a thrilling battle to the end. Tyler Langenberg scooped up the last podium spot for number 8 on the season. Ken Huber, your locked-up champion, has 785 points but lost his illustrious podium streak that lasted the whole season until last week. Langenberg has secured second, 156 points back, and Travis Rowe has virtually secured third, 225 points back, while Josh Doty and Travis Bell are all tied up for fourth coming into tonight. GTD-B was the second win in 2 races for Andrew McMurray, who charged through the field again after starting outside the top 10 overall. James Foreman snagged podium 15, and Dan Barnett got his first podium of the year in third. Foreman is your locked-up GTD-B champion at 643 points, more points than every A driver minus Ken Huber. Jesse Coffey sits second, but still isn't safe, with only a 10-point lead on Jack Lucas, with Nathan Westland likely to finish fourth. Already starting some hot laps here for these drivers, and qualifying is going to be so important, but the race is obviously going to be the most important thing for these guys. And of course, the story that we're going to watch the most tonight is Nick Terrell, Nick Paletti. Nick Paletti needs to have the absolute perfect race, and for Nick Terrell to have a nightmare race. I mean, Terrell doesn't even have to run well. He just needs to run safe and finish the race for him to secure the championship. But really, anything can happen. There are some difficult sectors here on this track. It's a very racy track. It's hard to just try to keep a driver behind you. So we'll see how they're able to do tonight. And Terrell actually is going to be able to qualify here tonight, which is a bit of a rarity as of late for him. But it is a big GTP field, which does not spell good luck if there's an early race incident for him. Paul Skip puts the first time on the board at a 1:30.2. Fastest time during practice was Jay Smart, who just now himself moves a second ahead. Fastest for GTD-A in practice was Ken Huber, just a 10th ahead of Tyler Langenberg, and Nathan Westland was your fastest GTD-B driver. We'll see where that shakes out here in qualifying. I definitely was seeing less incidents than some of the other tracks. It's in general not a too terribly difficult track, but is very racy, so should provide a lot of good action. Langenberg up to the top at a 1:45.3. Aaron Clayboss second right now, just 2/10 back, and he's a driver who's very comfortable here. It's his favorite track. He always does his best here, Aaron Claybaugh. But Tony Watson, after a vintage resurgence performance last week where he flew through the field after starting last, does not look to be starting from last here tonight. Moves up to first with a 1:45.2, just ahead of Tyler Langenberg. Great time for him. We'll see what these other laps produce. We have a few drivers on debut here tonight. Kyle Stambaugh just came across the line there. He's one of them in the BMW. We also have Austin Diltz. We have David Tamira, Brett Williams, some new names here, and Nick Gielis as well. And Cody Height here on his second race with the league. Jay Smart already on a massive improvement, looks like, on this lap. 3 purple sectors, unless that first one really was that much slower. He's going to come across the line. Already has a half-second advantage. Where's this going to put him now? Wait for it. 1:28.9. Actually, only a couple tenths improved, so a mistake there must have been at the start and end of that lap, but still an improvement on the time. Only 4 GTPs putting in a time so far, and only 2 drivers in that Acura. And Ryan Jeevan is not in the GTP. I'll have to fix that during the break period. He is here in this Ford GT. Not a popular car or an easy car to drive, but he's doing it regardless. Also interesting to see Ken Huber here. Was a little confused when I saw it, and I realized not in his customary Lamborghini. Has ridden that Lamborghini every race, the first 19 of the season. Trying out the Ferrari here late, which has been a popular, successful pick. But Tyler Langenberg with the Lamborghini, believe it or not, moves to first place, just half a tenth up on Tony Watson's previous time. So maybe the Lamborghini really was the option to go for in the end. Travis Bell looks to be on a good improvement right now, currently 13th. Almost all green sectors, jumps way up to 7th. And that puts him 5th in the A-class drivers, 7th overall, just behind James Foreman and Jesse Coffey. It's only 2 B drivers. Good performance so far for Coffey, who again is in a tight battle, just only 10 points up on Jack Lucas. Cannot have a bad race. Both those drivers have had their share of rough races over the last few. Has not been all smooth sailing for both of them at the same time. And maybe we'll actually get to see some racing between them tonight. A few yellow sectors we're seeing down there, although Tyler Langenberg already starting to improve. He does not have a big advantage on Tony Watson's time, so he could definitely afford to try to stretch this out a little bit more. Currently trying to do that. Not a lot of corners on this track, not a lot to master. Braking boards are plentiful on the outside of the track, so plenty of information for the drivers to pick their braking spots. But right here, as he exit the boot, one of the tougher sections I've seen in practice. Some of the cars get loose there as it is a bit over a crest, so easy to lose control of the car through there. Easy to go out wide through here and get an incident point, which again, Nicholas Paletti needs to be aware of. He cannot afford to do that even a single time and win the championship. Of course, still a very close battle between him and Paul Skip, even if he doesn't win. So he still needs to do his best to outperform Skip with only 1 point advantage on him. But to win the championship is going to require an absolutely perfection performance for Nick Paletti. We'll see if he's able to do that. And again, of course, that with the caveat, too, that Nick Terrell needs to also make plenty of his own mistakes. Tony Watson's in the pit lane. Is he maybe got one more lap in him? I'm not sure how many he's put on the board. We haven't seen an improvement, at least from that original time that he had. A lot of yellow sectors down there. I don't think the tires are holding on for peak performance here. Kyle Stambaugh might make an improvement on his time. Couple green sectors, 3 of them out of 5. That is an improvement, up to 11th place, just 8/10ths back from that Langenberg time. And the top of the B-class drivers outside of those 2 anomaly Foreman and Coffey times up there in 5th and 6th. Which again, if the promotion system went beyond 3 races, of course, they would be A-class drivers from that kind of qualifying performance. So just goes to show their development throughout the season. Again, Foreman's 2nd place overall in points, already has the B-class championship locked up, but should be able to finish ahead of Tyler Langenberg as well. He's got 14-point advantage on Tyler Langenberg. So Langenberg may finish 2nd in the A-class, but not 2nd overall in this championship, which would be a little bit of an interesting result. And then similarly, I think a lot of it comes from Foreman's. He's basically attended every single race. He's only missed 1 race. Ken Huber has attended every single race, and the only other driver who can claim to do that is Paul Skip, and we do have both those guys here today. So all 20 races in this large season. Impressive endurance for those guys. Nick Terrell coming in the pit lane. Paletti crossed the line. Not an improvement. So it looks like that's going to be the order that we have. Interestingly, a couple GTPs not putting a time in as well, or at least getting a time in, with David Tamira and John Kelly. And Kelly probably still celebrating from his podium he got last week in that really difficult rain race. Saw a lot of drivers having to park it early, but he survived through those conditions. Had a nice, obviously best performance on the season with that first podium. A lot of BMWs out there in the field for the GTDs. Ryan Jeevan, again, that time is not for the GTPs. He'll be sorted in the GT3s soon enough. Don't see any more times about to come across. A lot of yellows. Looks like this is basically going to be the order we have. So as we get to this warm-up period, again, the start of the race is going to be extra exciting. But I'm excited for this entire event here. This is wrapping up the championship, longest championship we've ever had. And we'll finally get to see tonight who wins that GTP class. So as we hit this warm-up period, we'll take a few-minute break. We'll be right back with you with the start of the event. All right, we're back, and here are official results for qualifying here tonight. Jay Smart with pole number 9 on the season. He will finish this season with the most poles in the GTP class. Nicholas Paletti, 7/10 back. Nick Terrell in 3rd. Paul Skip in 4th. Paul Boyle 5th. Brett Williams on debut here in 6th. John Kelly 7th. And David Tamira finishing in 8th. Tyler Langenberg gets pole position number 1. First one on the season. Tony Watson just behind him. Following those guys, Ken Huber and Aaron Claybaugh. James Foreman gets another pole position on the season. That's 6. He will also secure the most poles in the season. Jesse Coffey, Travis Bell, Sheldon Rosenbaum, Jack Lucas, and Travis Rowe round out the top 10. Following them, Mauricio Parada, Nathan Westland, Kyle Stambaugh on debut, Philip Rainieri, Cody Height, Andrew McMurray, Nick Gillis on debut here. Ryan Jeevan in at Ford. We'll see how he handles that machine around here. Todd Schneider, Austin Diltz, and Sean Adkins not putting in a time, those last 2 drivers. The no passing zone will be tonight through the first corner and then the S's going up the hill. So technically after turn 4 is when the drivers are allowed to make a move. They're heading through the S's right now. And it'll be a bit of a tough first lap. I think a driver could definitely get a good run into the inner loop, make a move. It's a classic layout that lots of people are familiar with. Probably doing some practice for it as well. The 6 hours of Watkins Glen is coming up pretty soon for iRacing officials. It's a very popular one. Given that 6-hour time frame, you can usually do it with 2 drivers, make it work well. And it's a layout that has been run since 1992, hasn't been changed. Obviously, some changes to some of the runoffs or safety features, but the actual layout of the track unchanged since 1992. And got to give these drivers plenty of challenges here today. And the inner loop here is a very difficult section of the track. It's so high speed. The curbs are basically not there. They're basically just part of the track. Very flat. So you're encouraged to run over those as much as you possibly can, and it's going to be the prerogative of the drivers to take that as dangerously as they wish throughout the race, but you're going to have to take some risks in this race to really make some moves, because that's probably going to be the most popular passing opportunity. The run down to turn 1, as you can see on that map there, not really all that long, difficult to follow through that final corner to actually make that move happen. So generally a run up through the S's and then a pass into the inner loop is the most popular passing spot when it is able to be done. Have, of course, some visual confusion here. Nicholas Paletti and Paul Boyle with what seem to be identical cars. Not sure I see anything different on the 2, so that'll give us plenty to work with as we try to figure out who's who. But Paletti is the driver who is absolutely under the most pressure. Of course, Terrell is the one leading. He's the one being chased, but he doesn't have to do very much at all to secure this championship. I mean, just finishing where he's at right now secures the championship. Even if he lost some spots and just finished with just a single-digit number of incident points and wasn't more than a couple laps back, then he would be able to come out of this race as your victor. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. It really may get decided somewhat early if Nick Paletti even has just a single off-track, single loss of control, single collision, maybe not even one that's his fault. So we will be monitoring that throughout this race as we continue to follow. Langenberg having some connection issues back there. He's jumping around the standings. He is there. He's not in the pits, but having some issues with connection. Hasn't affected him so far this season. Jay Smart's going to get the green flag. Green flag down into turn 1, the 90. No move that's going to be made here. 2 of the GTPs not in the race here, Brett Williams and David Tamira, so that is going to be good news for Nick Terrell, as less drivers to potentially finish behind if he has an early incident. Up the hill, Jay Smart going through the S's, and the passing will now be on as he crosses through turn 4. Doesn't look like he's nearly in trouble behind, but Nick Terrell able to give a little bit of chase to Nick Paletti right now. Don't think anything's going to happen on this first lap. Head and throw, and Nick Paletti's already off. That's it. That's it. Nick Terrell has won the championship. Within half of a lap, Nicholas Paletti has had an incident. Maybe he hasn't even got going. He hasn't. He's had to tow maybe has a pretty bad damage. Nick Terrell, he can take it easy for the rest of this race. He has won the championship just like that. A bit of an anticlimactic start to the race for that championship drama. But still, points to be got for Paul Skip there, who wants to move himself up to second. Currently at 1 point behind Nicholas Belletti. This is a great opportunity for him to jump a spot as the driver who's led the championship for most of this season. Out wide for Terrell. Probably going to be an off track for him, so he's not going to be getting 5 points either from this first lap. Looking back at the GT3s, still all very close, but not a single move made outside of Sean Atkins climbing up a couple spots after not qualifying here tonight. We have 21 drivers in the GT3 field. Looks like Austin Diltz did not take the start, so 3 drivers not taking the start here. Actually, Brett Williams may not be out, may have started from the pits. And then we also have Todd Schneider, I think, towed to the pits with an incident. Let's look at a replay again of that Nicholas Belletti incident coming into the inner loop. I didn't even see it coming. I didn't expect it to happen. Looks pretty in control, and just a big bump that, frankly, none of the other drivers seemed to encounter. Obviously, very stiff cars, very flat on the bottom, but surprised to see that kind of incident. Aaron Claybach currently chasing Ken Huber here. Don't really know who to follow as it is right now, because everybody is about as close to each other in the GT3 field. Paul Boyle catching up to Nick Terrell in the GTPs as well. Skip up 2 spots. He actually just made the move on Nick Terrell while we were looking away. Here's how that move was made. Terrell, I think, defending the inside. I don't even think he's not even fighting for it into the inner loop. Not a lot to fight for here tonight anymore. Nick Terrell, in a good way. And he's been passed by Paul Boyle now. Nicholas Belletti still in the pits, maybe waiting on a tow to get some repair. Sheldon Rosenbaum battling with Travis Bell, just got that spot. So Rosenbaum and Westland, the only 2 drivers in the GT3 class to make a move so far. Looks like Bell's trying to fight back here, though. Trying to go around the outside of the tow and slips back in. Here was how that move was made by Rosenbaum. Coming out of the outer loop back into the chute, and a nice move down the inside. Tough passing opportunity, but had a good run on him. And really wide there as they exit the heel. And this left-hander hasn't given any drivers too much problems before. And we've seen some spun cars there, and it's a bad spot to get turned sideways because it's hard to get out with those 2 walls on either side. Looks like that is maybe Brett Williams there after starting from the pits, making his way through the field. Gets by Travis Bell. Ryan Jeevan climbing up a spot after maybe a Nick Gielis incident. Yeah, Nick Gielis here going off track in the purple. And, a big collision with, what was that, Sean Adkins, I believe. Nothing that Adkins could really do to avoid that. Unfortunate incident for him. Hopefully not too bad to need to come into the pits. You see that from his point of view. He maybe could have been on the brakes a little earlier, but not a lot that you can do to expect him coming back on track there. Not anything on purpose by Gielis, of course. Drivers filing through the inner loop. Travis Bell gets the spot back on Sheldon Rosenbaum. We're just on board with them. Must have been a bad exit for Rosenbaum there. Way on the outside. Can't take the inside here. He made the pass on Bell on the inside a couple laps ago. Gielis and Adkins both into the pits, so they got some meatball damage to take care of. Look how close this field still is. Even up at the front as well. Ken Huber trying to chase down Tony Watson. Watson actually goes wide, has an incident. Does he have the run to stay ahead? As they head into the heel, Huber on the inside is going to have a huge advantage. Watson gets run out of track. Both going a little bit, not totally off track, but using that curb and nowhere for Watson to go. Loses that spot. Watson down to 3rd as Huber makes his way back up to 2nd. Wants to get back on that podium train. Podium in every race except for last race. So he's had some incidents in Spa, of course, if you remember. Big incident in Blanchimont with Nathan Westland, and seemed like his podium streak was going to be over. Still somehow clawed back for 3rd place in that race. Kyle Stambaugh making a position up on Mauricio Parada. Looked like a pass maybe into the final corner even. And Parada losing more spots. Let's see how this move happened. Oh, Parada goes out wide, gets onto the grass. Lucky to, I guess, save the car at the very least. But he lost another spot down the straight to Philip Ranieri, just with that lost momentum. Tight battle we have right here just in front of Kyle Stanbaugh. Travis Bell, Sheldon Rosenbaum, Jack Lucas, Travis Rowe, Nathan Westland, all these guys so close. And that bump right there, you saw Rosenbaum take it. Ooh, Lucas behind. Is he going to lose a spot? He is. He's going to lose a couple spots. Two drivers go through. It didn't even look like his car took it worse than Rosenbaum's. Maybe just a little bit caught off guard by a scary moment for a driver in front. Westland trying to make something happen around the outside. That doesn't usually work, but I think it might this time. Very respectful for Travis Rowe, and Westland's going to be able to take advantage now with the advantage into the toe. Oh, and I think Rowe's going to get hung out to dry on the outside there. He does. Tough to make that defense on the outside work. Wasn't able to do it. Is he going to try to do something down in the heel? No, he's just getting some clean braking. So nice move for Nathan Westland to make up another spot. He's up 3 now on the race. No other driver has done that so far. GTP field is spreading out a little bit. A couple seconds between each of these drivers, and they're now coming up to the actual meat of the field. Actually, Pelletti close to getting lapped as well. But Jay Smart right now passing Todd Schneider, and he's just going to be a few seconds down the road until he gets to the rest of the GT3s. See if that shakes up the order a little bit, or at least the gaps. No driver in GT3 with any shocker incident outside of Sean Atkins, who we have, I think, lost from the race, but nobody fallen back from way up in the initial qualifying standings, which is good to see. And it's been mostly mistake-free outside of some small stuff. And Sheldon Rosenbaum there, he's trying to get a spot on Travis Bell. These two battling back and forth. He goes to the inside, doesn't quite have the overlap to earn some space. Bell sends it through the inner loop, stays ahead. Does Rosenbaum have a good run here? It doesn't look like he does. Looks about even between the two. Very evenly matched, these two. Rosenbaum, again, coming off a victory last week. Second win on the season. Only other driver to do that, get 2 wins, is Ken Huber. Of course, he's got a little bit more than 2. He's got a whole 15 wins. And that also does mean that Huber will have won every counted race with the five drop weeks. He'll have won 15 of the 20 races, even if he doesn't win here tonight. And he's obviously in contention with just 1.4 seconds up to Tyler Langenberg in that familiar Lamborghini that we normally see Ken Huber running. That was Nicholas Pelletti there, makes his way through the field. Just doing all he can to just stay out here and maybe get some advantage from some other drivers having incidents. Even Brett Williams, who we saw start from the pits, of course, a whole 2 minutes ahead of Nicholas Pelletti in this race. So the championship aspirations already, unfortunately, out the window for Pelletti, but Pelletti may even lose that second place spot that he currently has over Paul Skip. Skip right now running well in second place, just 2.5 seconds back, making his way through some traffic. Try to do this with the least amount of incident possible. Still very close for everybody up there. Tyler Langenberg, I don't think that's a real incident. I think it's probably just connection issue. We'll wait to see. He's technically falling through the standings. We do see him recover up to first, but his connection is all over the place right now. Probably blinking a lot for the drivers in front. It's actually messing up my entire standing board, so try not to go on board with them too much during these connection issues. Claybaugh fighting to try to get into the podium spots. Has just one podium on the season, and that was at Hockenheim, where there were only 3 A-class drivers that even finished the race. But after taking a good... Ooh, is he going to try to make a move here? On the inside, Tony Watson's got some more speed. I think he's going to have to back out of that one, but he does have the aggression and the tires right now to try to make something happen. You're going to do it down into here. Nothing into the heel. But Aaron Claybaugh has taken the whole season to get up to speed with some new equipment. Was a bit off the pace for the first part of the season, out of character really, and definitely over the last few races seems to have really found his footing. Had some unfortunate incidents in some races where he qualified well, But this is not only a good time for him with his equipment, but a racetrack that he really loves. Typically a stellar performer here at Watkins Glen. Ooh, Nathan Westland, does he have a move on Sheldon Rosenbaum? Looks like the traffic brought these two together. Rosenbaum was fighting with Travis Bell. Now he's fighting from behind. Nathan Westland going to make a move into the 90. He doesn't quite have enough. Doesn't quite have enough to earn some spots. Sheldon Rosenbaum goes a bit wide. You will earn a slowdown if you go wide enough there. Didn't used to be the case. They kind of cracked down on those track limits. Ken Huber may have actually made a move on Tyler Langenberg. Let's check. Wait, let's watch this battle first. Watch this live and then go to that pass that Huber's made into the lead. Westland, will he make something happen into the inner loop? Goes in the inside, barely even had the room and backed out of it. Rosenbaum was given about 0.95 of a car, and Westland decided to take it, but he had a better exit through the inner loop. Can he survive the outside here? He pushes it around the outside. He doesn't quite have it, but he has enough to earn some room here on the inside. Who's going to come out of the win with this one? Rosenbaum on the outside gets a better overspeed, and John Kelly is just going to have to spectate this as they come through the next corner into tow. Nathan Westland going to try switchback. Rosenbaum deftly closing the door on him there. Knew exactly what he was trying to do. Wonderful defense for Rosenbaum in what seemed like a... it may not be over. O'Neal. Okay, never mind. So at least for now, the battle's over. But as we go to a replay here of the pass made by Ken Huber to get up to the lead. Actually, have to go back a little bit. There was a lot of action that we saw after that. So this was Langenberg just going wide. Must have had a slowdown from the 90. That would be my best guess with how slow he was going there. Paul Boyle having an incident, and he is now out of the race. See what happened to him here. Maybe just got distracted. I really have no idea what happened to him. But just going off into the grass, losing control of the car. A lot of other moves we saw throughout the field after that, and cannot begin to keep up with all of them. But it does look like Travis Rowe was one of the incidents. Let's see if we can maybe figure out what happened to him here. Travis Rowe on the outside. He's still alive. He's in the pit lane right now. I see he gets passed by a number of cars. He's doing well to defend here and to tow. It doesn't seem like there was a collision. There's nothing about him going off track. He still stays ahead. He's the driver on the left, the BMW on the left. BMW on the right is Kyle Stambaugh. Oh, and a tap, and he gets spun. So he gets spun on track, loses lots of positions. Don't think he needed to come into the pits necessarily for any damage there. And of course, as we looked away, we missed the live action of Nathan Westland making a move on Sheldon Rosenbaum. Sweet. Check out that real quick. Rosenbaum goes wide in turn one again through the 90 and then jumps up through the S's. Totally hung out to dry on the outside. Never going to work if you make your way out there. And Westland just gets by on the straight. Doesn't even have to do it into the passing zone. But still has to be doing some defending right now. Jack Lucas has been brought into the battle as well. He's that BMW, or the Mercedes, right behind white Mercedes. Trying to catch up. Jack Lucas in a battle with Jesse Coffey in the points. Needs to finish not just ahead of him, but ahead of him by a few positions. And Coffey is doing what he needs to do right now to stay in that second place spot for the B class championship-wise. He's actually even challenging James Foreman for the win. They are exactly where they started, 5th and 6th overall. No moves made so far. And Foreman in that Ferrari that we've seen go so well at a lot of these tracks. Kind of surprised it hasn't picked up more popularity than it has. Foreman challenging Tony Watson. Watson's dropped a couple spots, qualified at a really strong second, was a provisional pole sitter at one point in qualifying after that first lap. A couple lost spots here at the start. Maybe he'll be wishing for it to rain some. It will not rain. This is a guaranteed dry race here for the end of the season. Some nice weather that we have here in New York. And Huber and Langenberg not that far down the road from these guys. It's just a few seconds. Making their way by Nick Gielis, who I believe is getting lapped by these drivers right now. We saw Nick Gielis with the incident right at the end of the lap where he crashed with Sean Atkins. Sean Atkins we have out of this race. But Gilles, of course, losing a lot of time from that pit stop he needed to take to get some damage repaired on the car. Rishi Parada chasing down Kyle Stambaugh. We saw these two in a close battle with Travis Rowe. Rowe, unfortunately, taken out of that battle. Just a very minor touch between the two. Didn't even send him off track, but just enough to get him spinning in heel. And Parada's still on the back trying to chase down. Ryan Jeevan has made up some spots as well. He even put a qualifying time in. So in that Ford, which this is going to be one of the last races you'll ever see it, as the Ford Mustang and the Chevy Corvette GT3 cars are officially announced, and for everything that we understand, the Ford GT will be replaced by the Ford Mustang. It's a very old car, has not really been supported all that much by iRacing, and we are getting an increase by one more to the car count for servers, which should allow for some more variety. Which is exciting. Next season will be all GT3s provisionally. And with 3 classes, so we have A and B class right now. It'll be ABC, basically a gold, silver, bronze type separation. That's what we're going to see from the drivers. Jack Lucas, Sheldon Rosenbaum does not just get past. He is out. He is in the inner loop. He has to tow. What happened to him? It was definitely an incident, obviously, through the inner loop. Oh, that's already way off. See if we can go a little bit further back to get an idea of what happened to him here. That bump, the same bump that, we are on the board with the wrong driver, but the same bump that took out Nicholas Paletti right at the start of the race. And we saw actually Rosenbaum hit that earlier too. Got a little bit sketch, but still survived the incidents. He is now out of this race. Maybe we'll see him return, but he's going to have a long tow to the pits. Back in 19th for last week's winner. Does not look to be repeating here today. So unfortunate result for him. Tony Watson still successfully defending from James Foreman at this point. The gap has the gap between the two has remained about the same, but Watson seems to have actually closed up to Aaron Claybaugh a little bit in front. Meanwhile, behind Nathan Westland is chasing down another spot. He's up 4, which now is not the most positions gained. Andrew McMurray and Ryan Jeevan both have 5 on the season, or on the race, excuse me. But Nathan Weston right now up 4, trying to get his 5th. He's the 8th place driver, already on the podium for B class in tonight's race. And this would just be some more points to bag in what's been a strong season for him, of course. Debut this season, although it does feel like he's been here for a long time with how long the season's been, 20 races. But currently 6th overall and 4th in the B class, which just goes, I mean, of course, the implication of that is 4 of the top 6 drivers in the overall standings are B class. And I think a lot of that does come from the more consistent participation. Oh, good, nearly a send by Westland there. More consistent participation by the B class drivers, but they've just improved so much through the season in race pace and driving just so cleanly, smoothly. It's really been showing in a lot of these late season results where the classes seem to not even matter where the drivers are finishing. But Westland getting some dirt on the windshield, wiping off as he's definitely putting Travis Bell under some pressure. Bell maybe not taking these corners absolutely optimally. It's not the greatest time for a car to come up on Westland, as he's going to get hung out on the outside there, and then Bell's going to get maybe hung out around this corner. It kind of has a slower entry there. So I guess everything's fair between the two. The battle will continue on. Jumping up the field a little bit. Again, James Foreman still staying close with Tony Watson. Doesn't seem to be making any moves yet. You can see there actually Watson, not by much. Not by more than a 10th in any of these last 4 sectors, but still faster in these last 4 sectors regardless. We have Paletti making his way through again. And we do have Paul Boyle out of the race, which is unfortunate. It does, the only positive is that it does clear up the confusion of the 2 exact same liveries that we have for the GTPs. So the basically camo from these distances. The basically camo GTP that you see out there, that is going to be Paletti. Westland just got Travis Bell. Man, he's on a charge through. Must have had a good exit through the outer loop. Let's take a look at what that looked like for him. Around the outside, it still was competitive and just make it a nice send. We saw him sizing that up last lap. Didn't have any gap to do so. Just looks like he's really strong on the braking zone into chute, which is one of the scarier parts of the track. It's one of the only parts of the track where it kind of naturally has some understeer to it as you push out wide going down the hill. And most of the other parts of the track, the banking of the surface really helps you out and speeds you through the corners. But Skip right now makes his way by. He's 10 seconds back on Jay Smart. Jay Smart, of course, you play the what-if game. You know, what if he had competed this whole season, did some of the races in GT3, missed a good number of races himself. Where would he be without that? And, too, maybe some of the races where I had an early incident, he'd stayed in it just to maybe try to earn some safety points and maybe get some points on some other drivers with more incidents than him. Definitely has had the pace, especially in the second half of this season. Again, the most pole positions, but didn't scratch that top 3 for the standings. As it stands, he's 85 points back from Nick Terrell, and obviously nothing he can do to really get into that top 3 with that kind of gap. But Cody Height right now trying to get back Ryan Jeevan. Jeevan passed him a few laps ago. Height has been close, but this is as close as he's been. Down the straight, does the Ford GT have the top speed? Definitely some overspeed from Height behind. And a better entry into inner loop. But the exit actually goes the way of Ryan Jeevan in that Ford. So doing strong to stay ahead for now. It is not an easy car to handle, nor is it even fast. So you can't expect a lot. Actually, him just being here in 13th up 5 spots is an achievement in its own for Ryan Jeevan here tonight. Interested to see how long he takes here. We've seen some people kind of use it as a bit of a joke pick in the last few seasons. I don't know if it, I think it's really gone well only a single time. I do not remember who drove it. It may have been Brad McCombs. I think he had used it to decent effect at some race. But we'll see how Ryan Jeevan continues to do here today as he blinks out of existence for one moment. Still, the same battles that were close. Still the battles we have close. And Westland now in front of Travis Bell, but Bell not letting him get away quite yet. Still keeping it within a second. And Tony Watson, just as I said that, closed up a bunch on Aaron Claybaugh. Potentially a mistake by Claybaugh. Potentially Nick Terrell there getting by at maybe an inopportune time right as they go up through the S's. Tony Watson going to try to do something here. Definitely doesn't have the overspeed to make something happen in the inner loop this time. And much later on the brakes, too, you could see the brake lights turn on for Claybaugh. There was a big delay before Tony Watson started to get on the brakes there, but it just goes to show the many different ways you can take it, because it seemed like actually Claybaugh benefiting through that inner loop section as they head through the outer loop, gained about 2/10 on him. So the later braking, maybe not always working. It generally is a recipe for success, but this time, Aaron Claybaugh showing the race line varies and can be more of your speed. Langenberg for one moment there had that gap for the lead under a second. Back to 1.1. He's trying to break into that 1 second mark again. Langenberg starting on pole here tonight, which is crazy to believe that that's his first pole position on the season, although generally a driver known for race pace and climbing up through some positions, fuel management, fuel strategy, then like outright qualifying pace. It didn't hinder him in his previous championship run in the LMP2, where he was still able to get that victory championship long, even though it didn't really earn, I think, that many pole positions, if I'm not incorrect, though it has been a while at this point. But trying to chase down here for the win. And Langenberg also, strong driver at this track. We saw him get a win here in Terry Cocker Jr.'s absolutely dominant season, where the question really came up at one point, much like we had from Ken Huber, the driver in front. The question had come up at one point, is Terry ever going to lose? And Langenberg with a incredibly bold fuel strategy. At the time, the GT3s needed to go 2 pit stops every race. And somehow he made a 1 pit stop race work here at this track and was able to just pip Terry on strategy. The fuel strategy is a little bit more simple this season with the GT3s. Not like you're going to be able to make it happen on 1 stop. It's just about making it to really anywhere from the 35 to 50-minute mark to make that stop. Although this is probably a higher fuel usage track than others, at least than some others. So maybe would expect it closer to the 40-minute mark for a lot of these guys, but fuel will not be a problem for them. Fuel is a problem for the GTPs. We'll see what the strategy is for them. The 1 and 2 stop has been variable on what's been the fastest. Bit wide for everybody going through there. But Foreman with maybe the most speed through that section. He's really hounding Tony Watson, who doesn't seem to be too disturbed, as he's definitely keeping it close with Claybon front. Again, the gap at the front of the GT3 field dropping down to sub 1 second. Smart continues to pull away at just an absolutely ludicrous rate. 15 seconds ahead of Paul Skip in second, and that is not Paul going slow, because he is pulling away from every driver behind him. Nick Terrell 12 seconds back from him. But the last lap for J Smart was a 1:31.52. Last lap for Paul Skip was 1:32.2. That's a 7/10 difference between them. Close here for the GT3s though, and just behind as well. This group of 3 keeping it close, and actually a position may be decided here. Will Jesse Coffey get the spot on Nathan Westland? He's heading out to the outside. Westland wants the inside here. Is that going to be the right move? Westland stays ahead into the inner loop, but still it's not over if you can get a good exit. Looks like Nathan Westland had a pretty good run there, despite maybe not taking the most preferable race line. Shoots a little bit wide here. Does get back on track before the grass. Brett Williams passes. Ooh, doesn't quite get him. It's going to slow down Westland a little bit. Is that going to leave him vulnerable? Don't think it will. And Bell is ready to hop on any failed move that Jesse Coffey may try to make. Jesse Coffey and Jack Lucas have continued to converge a little bit. Ooh, a good exit for Coffey as he needs to pull away as much as he can. Travis Bell following Coffey on the left. Now he's going back to the right. And Westland around the outside is going to be tough to make the defense happen, but Coffey doesn't quite have the speed. I think he's going to have to slip back in line. So had a decent attempt at a pass there. Wasn't all that aggressive. I think probably could try to set up something a little bit more firm, but might as well try the safe move first as they complete this lap. That's the note right there as well. Very dangerous pit entry there. It is directly on the racing line. Hopefully the driver's communicating with each other over radio, because that is not what you want to come up on, is trying to take the apex of that corner, not knowing the driver in front of you is slowing way down to get into the pits. So hopefully being communicative out there, but we could see an incident there for sure. Ryan Jeevan lost a spot to Kyle Stambaugh. Let's see, was that an incident that happened really fast? We don't even see it. Yeah, okay. So Jeevan off to the side there, and the driver coming into the pits, that was Nick Paletti. So definitely going for a 2-stop. Well, actually 3-stop, because he towed to the pits earlier in this race, but essentially, virtually a 2-stop race for him. Especially since he towed, he would have more fuel than anybody. So it does seem like that must be what has to be done. You'd think since he did have another extra lap of fuel than some of the other drivers had, you'd think he'd stretch it out if he could. Coffey close again through tow. But does he have the line to take advantage? He's sitting back. Oh, very wide for Westland. He gets a little squirrely. That's going to hurt him down this short straight, this short run into heel. Jesse Coffey's still just following. Doesn't pull out to the side. Will that spook Nathan Westland a little bit into the braking zone? It looks like it does. Westland goes way wide. He's going to be able to stay ahead. It's not the best passing opportunity there to shoot a driver wide. It's just hard. There's not a big run to get back in front, but it does look like Westland is looking in those mirrors a little bit in those braking zones. And a driver we typically haven't seen make many mistakes in some really tense battles, ones that have lasted for literally entire races long. But a uncharacteristic mistake there. Is able to keep his spot, most importantly. They're still in 6th, up 6 places. Absolutely absurd to be that high in the standings and also be the driver who's gained the most spots in the race. McMurray's still up his 5 spots. Currently in 11th, 3 seconds back from Mauricio Parada, trying to get into that top 10. McMurray has charged through the field in all of these last 3 races. More than 10 positions gained in both Interlagos and Le Mans, I believe. The Interlagos run especially impressive given that was in the dry. Ooh, did he hit the wall? Jesse Coffey really close. It looked a little bit weird on his camera. Must not have hit the wall. He would have definitely heard it if he did. Came pretty close. They're definitely testing the limits. That is the optimal line. Trying to take that as straight as absolutely possible. Again, those curbs are not very dangerous. I say that, but of course, something happened with Paletti and Rosenbaum, and must have been something they did not encounter during practice, or else you would have expected them to avoid that section of the track. So unfortunate to have Paletti's race end dead early and place back in the pit lane, still in the pit lane. Not sure what's. It looks like he's back in the pit lane, if I'm not incorrect. I'm not sure what's going on there. Nick Gielis into the pits. Again, potentially got some damage. Oh, yeah, we do have an incident right before he came into the pits here. In that purple Lamborghini. Just a little bit too much speed into tow, and the grass does slow you down more than before. It's not going to slow you down enough with how close those walls are, unfortunately. Should still have another fast repair to get that fixed up. Very exciting that we have some of our closest battles up here in the big points for GTD. And right now, Clayball, Watson, Foreman, a trio. And then Westland, Coffee, Bell, a trio that are all close with each other. And especially this trio right here looks like potentially something could happen through the S's. It's proven more difficult to make a move, I think, than I anticipated. But still, some drivers able to find their way through the field. These 3 so evenly matched right now. Not going any one driver's way. Paul Skip coming up on him, who is again now falling back to 20 seconds back. I mean, nothing against Paul Skip's pace, of course. He's still 10 seconds up on Nick Terrell, who is going to win this championship. But 20 seconds back from Jay Smart. I mean, Jay Smart, the fastest lap is not too far between the two. It's half a second. Fast lap is a 130.1 for Jay Smart, 130.6 for Paul Skip. But the average lap, the consistent pace, maybe pace through traffic as well, has just really gone Jay Smart's way. He's out into some clean air again, so we'll probably continue to pull away from that, what is now 21-second mark, as he has a ways to go before getting to a couple GT3s and then even more clean air after that. Paletti's still in the pits. I fear we may not even see him return to this race. So Paul Skip may be able to as well just finish the race and inherit that second place championship spot. Of course, not the result that Paul Skip would want here tonight. Last race just did not go his way, especially not getting any safety points. That was really the nail in the coffin for him. And didn't get any safety points in the previous race either, despite finishing that race well. Finished on the podium, but with 13 incidents, got no safety points. And it's crazy how quick the tide turned for that, because Skip had led the championship in essentially every race. Nick Terrell did have the lead for one short moment after some drop weeks were calculated. But now back on top and with a unbeatable lead after the first lap incident for Paletti. Travis Bell was just a 10th back. Oh, and a spin ahead. Who is that? Was that was Nick Terrell? That must have been. Yeah, Terrell shockingly keeping it out of the wall there. Thought that may have been Nathan Westland potentially. Westland pulling away from Coffey a little bit here. Now 1.1 seconds. And Travis Bell's battle gets totally interrupted by 2 GTPs coming through. Jack Lucas not that far back, still looming back there. Lucas, one of just a couple drivers in the GTD field that's still in the same spot he started. But looking to make a difference on that. Again, he needs to finish ahead of Jesse Coffey as far as championship implications. Still would not be upset, of course, to finish in 3rd overall. would like to get up there into that second place spot. Lucas also one of the drivers who really has hit a good peak here at the end of the season. Had a really strong stint from Imola to Spa. Really good results there. Le Mans did not go his way. I think we lost him pretty early in the race and actually ended up being one of his drop weeks on the season. That's how poorly it went for him. But looking to make an improvement here, and he's just 3/10 back now from Travis Bell. And Bell close enough to Coffee to get the same amount of benefit. You couldn't even see Bell there for one moment. Lucas so close through the 90. Really trusting the car in front on where he's going to brake. Oh, and even closer up front, Tony Watson. And round goes the outside. Foreman, one of these positions must be made here, right? Again, Foreman also totally obscured by the two cars. He goes to the inside, but doesn't have the overlap. Nothing's going to happen there. It's been a little difficult to make a move. A lot more difficult than this track customarily is, but it is kind of something that we've seen along the entire season storyline-wise. And that overtakes in the classic overtaking spots have just been difficult. And drivers have hypothesized a lot of it comes down to the high downforce setups that they run. It does make the cars easier to use, easier to run, stick to the track a little bit more. But when it comes to top speed, they really kind of get bogged down when they're trying to make their way around another car. They got to do it in the riskier sections. The overtakes have to be. You can't make the easy overtakes down the straight. You just get a good exit and then on the straight have that overspeed with some draft. The high downforce setups seem to be preventing that a little bit, but there also has been a change in the build a long time ago. I complained about it regularly, but the draft not doing a lot for any of these guys. But the GTPs, they've had their own issue, not with passing, but just staying close with each other. The gaps have been, we have been blessed with some close races, late in the season especially, but unfortunately a lot of the races have kind of ended up like we've got here today with large 10-plus second, 30-second gaps where you don't even see the two drivers in the same spot of the track. Of course, there's still strategy to play out, but the actual on-track action has often not been super close with each other, even though it has gone different drivers' ways at different parts of the season. But right now, Skip's about to hit the 30-second territory, back from J Smart a whole half second. If you compare that to the GT3s, Philip Rainieri, who's in 12th place, is half a minute, back from the leader, Ken Huber. And Ken's got an 11-second gap on third. I mean, it's so much closer with the GT3 field. And you can see it on our screen right now. Travis Bell again close with Coffee. Doesn't look like anything's going to happen around this time. The 40-minute mark. We're going to take a few-minute break. We'll try to make sure to not miss any action, although it's going to be hard to do that. May wait to see if this finishes out. Tony Watson is definitely trying to make a move happen down the inside in the heel. Doesn't quite have the space to earn it, but he's going to be on the outside here, though. We haven't seen that work for anybody. Will James Foreman even potentially take advantage? Can he slip back in? He's going to be able to just do it. But, yeah, the outside never working there, unfortunately, for any of these guys. Andrew McMurray just got another spot on Risha Parada. I think Parada potentially had an incident there because he's now a second back, and that kind of came out of nowhere. See if we can figure out what happened here. Don't see Parada on the screen. He's way out there on the exit of heel. Just went a little bit deep. But losing a spot nonetheless. Bell still really close with Coffee. Foreman still close with Watson. This is the battle back for 7th right now. Up through the S's. Coffee's getting hung out to dry on the outside. This is going to be difficult to actually maintain this. They almost touch. And through goes Travis Bell. Jack Lucas may make his way through as well. These are the two drivers fighting for the championship. They are now side by side into the best passing opportunity on the track. But Lucas on the outside, he swings across and he gets the move done. Lucas up to 8th. And I said we were going to take a break. How ridiculous of me. Lucas makes his way into 8th place. He is ahead of Jesse Coffey. He needs to get still some more points. We don't know the safety point situation between these two drivers currently, but he's probably going to have to at least get a few more spots of buffer between the two and a good safety point situation to make something happen. Paul Skip is into the pits. Brett Williams into the pits. Jay Smart has already made his pit stop, so that's why Nick Terrell inherits the lead for now. He will come back out in third, but is he trying to make a one? I mean, we're 40 minutes in. That is an early stop for one stop for Smart and Skip. I think we're looking at more of a splash and dash at the very end. Terrell may be going slowly. Maybe the reason he's going so slowly is he's trying to save enough fuel to push it. Oh, and Foreman's ahead of Tony Watson. Watson on the outside. He's not going to be able to fight back through there. Was that actually through? That was through the exit of the boot section. How did that actually get done there? Just a good run for Foreman. That's not a classic passing spot. Must have been a little bit tough for Watson on the exit of the previous corner. He just was lacking some speed there. Nice move for James Foreman to move his way up into fourth. Still the leader of the B class, but gets another position away from Nathan Westland. Westland up in the second, too. Strong position for him with a lot of spots gained. Lucas still hunting down Jesse Coffey. Excuse me, Travis Bell, head of Jesse Coffey. Hunting down Travis Bell. They both got their way by last lap. Nothing's going to happen that time. Nathan Westland, just after praising him, the commentator's curse strikes yet again on this Lightning McQueen car into the inner loop, just ahead of these two. The group that we saw, the same bump that took out Nicholas Paletti, the same bump that took out Sheldon Rosenbaum, has done the same to Nathan Westland, and he is actually able to drive the car. That was a hefty whack. That is definitely coming straight into the pits. Luckily for him, we're definitely on pit schedule. He's going to be slow. He's down to 9th currently. But he's not out of schedule. He's not going to have to make extra pit stops than everybody else. Nicholas Paletti, by the way, is officially out of this race. So I think I didn't do the mental math on this part. I think Paul Skip just existing in this race, and as long as he just finishes in the top 3 or so, I think probably confirms, no matter what, him getting to that second place spot was only one point he needed. If he gets any safety points, he is going to retake that second place spot. And yeah, for him, unfortunately, the most points that he could possibly gain would leave him one short of a nightmare race for Nick Terrell. And it has not been a nightmare race for him. He's not the net leader of this race, but he is a little bit back. Tony Watson's making his pit stop. Philip Ranieri has a close battle right now with Travis Rowe, actually. Rowe down a few spots. Has had to make his pit stop already, and he pit on lap 7. Ranieri makes his way down the inside, and that seemed to be a pretty textbook move for Ranieri. And that Mercedes, not a popular car. Jack Lucas has used it, I think, every race. But other than Ranieri and Lucas, not used by a lot of drivers. Jay Smart just had an incident himself in the GTPs. Was leading by 30 seconds, though, so this, depending on what this is, this may not be disastrous. Oh, hits that grass. Oh, and that is a huge collision. He has not made a stop yet, though. We are now almost to the halfway point. So if he's able to limp that into the pits, which we see it right there, he is able to drive it. So he's able to limp it to the pits. He has a huge 30-second buffer and still maybe on a winning strategy here. I cannot believe he's able to get that thing to drive. I can't believe he steered around, what, like 4 corners to finish that off there? So nice job to push it through. I doubt he loses 30 seconds from this, but he's definitely going to lose some time. So you'll see Paul Skip a lot closer than he was. Unless I'm maybe underestimating how much he's losing here. Right now, Paul Skip's actually already passed him. Ooh, interesting. So did Jay Smart have some other stuff happen on that outlap as well? But Skip, with the time that he pit, he's probably going to have to pit again with Splash and Dash. So maybe still not going Skip's way here. But we'll see at the end of the race. Jack Lucas still chasing down Travis Bell. All right, now we've hit the 45-minute mark. We'll keep this Lucas Bell battle on screen. We'll take a few-minute break. Be right back with you. Come back to some live pictures here of Mauricio Parada with an incident there at the final corner. Came out of nowhere. It's hard to tell exactly what happened from the camera that we were on. It was a little bit wide there, and then he gets into the grass. We saw... I can't remember who we saw. We saw another incident just like that, getting into the grass on the outside. Paul Boyle, I believe. No, Paul Boyle did do it, but in a different section of the track. But Parada coming into the pits, which I think he'd just come out of the pits, if I'm not... Maybe I'm. I thought that's what we had saw from him, but getting hounded immediately on the exit. Oh, did he have a drive-through? He may have had a drive-through already of incidents. Wow, that is rough. That's going to make it very scary for the rest of the race for him. It's going to be easy to continue to pick up drive-throughs if that is what happened there. But Mauricio Parada getting hounded immediately on the exit of the pits, and was not able to hold those spots away from Travis Rowe and Tony Watson. Watson himself, really, I'm trying to figure out why he's lost so many spots, unless there's something simple I'm forgetting. I'm trying to figure out why he's down 10 spots when he is pit one time, just like everybody else. Now every driver in the GT3 field, by the way, has made their stop, so a little bit of a tougher fuel race than some others, as we're not even at the 50-minute mark, and we've had the whole field come in. But Jesse Coffey himself, I think, is one of the last guys, as he's now on pit exit there at the front. And Coffey again had been passed by Lucas and Bell, but Lucas was not ahead of Travis Bell. And it looks like he got by him with the pit stops, which is interesting to see, as they both pit on the same lap. Tony Watson's down the inside of the 90. Is he going to make the move happen? Rowe not on the newest of tires. Watson on much fresher rubber. Does he have him up to temperature? You don't want to be on the outside of the S's here. We'll see if Rowe's able to do anything defending it. And yeah, sure enough, the outside spells your doom. Jay Smart comes up on him behind. Paul Skip, now your leader of the race, but that was really close there around the outside with Tony Watson. Now your leader, Paul Skip, for the race. We'll see if that continues to be at the end. It doesn't seem like when his pit stop came that he's going to be able to make it to the end like Jay Smart probably can. Nick Terrell definitely, because he pit on lap 30, well past that 45-minute mark. Paul Skip was around the 40-minute mark. Can he really stretch it that far to be competitive? I think he's going to have to try. Play ball as we catch both him and Foreman going extra wide there. I guess maybe corners like that are no surprise why potentially Parada's already picked up a drive-through. Especially the corner coming up as well. An easy one to push out wide. Corner one, the 90, one that's easily abused. Although used to give less penalties there. Claybaugh trying to catch up to Foreman. Claybaugh is in the podium spot. He is safely ahead of Travis Bell as it currently stands. Has a good 7 or so seconds back. Maybe more, I guess, if you had maybe 8 or 9 to Travis Bell to keep that third place spot currently, but he would like to be on the overall podium. Westland is trying to catch up to Angel McMurray. Westland is on the recovery after that big incident in the inner loop. Did not take him out of the pit strategy, but certainly lost a lot of time with trying to just limp it to the pits there. Because when he came in, he was second in the GTD B field. Now he has moved his way all the way down to 5th, trying to get up to 4th here. Doesn't seem like McMurray is going to be able to three-peat, but does have 2 wins in the first 2 races and sending it down the inside. Ooh, it is not over. A tap between the two. Westland unsighted from that, but McMurray gets spun out of control. Oh, that's a scary moment for those drivers, but stays out of the way. Stays out of the way of them regardless. But let's take a look at that incident again. Curious to see that. I mean, it just looked like maybe McMurray was a little bit out of control from hitting the inside curb a little bit too hard. Probably doesn't often take that line. Really just had to because they were too wide. Let's even get that from another view again. I mean, Westland didn't give a lot of room. It seemed like he gave enough, though. And it was not a big collision, that's for sure. It just such a high speed, very dangerous part of the track that just a tap like that is enough to take you out of control. So McMurray does lose some spots. He loses to Philip Ranieri and Tony Watson, which some props should be given here to Philip Ranieri, who's up 5 now. Started back in 14th, now up to 9th. Well, getting chased down by Tony Watson currently, who is doing his best to get back up where he was, but he started up there in 2nd, currently in 10th. Definitely has a lot of time to still make up in this race, but it's been a bit of an opposite story for him from what he had last week at Le Mans, where he started last. Didn't get a time in, although I'll argue he did. We saw him cross the line with time remaining. Somehow that time did not get put through, but almost made it to the very top. Just a second back from Sheldon Rosenbaum. Even led the race for a little bit before giving back the lead to Rosenbaum. And Rosenbaum drove just absolutely stone cold for the rest of the race. Those last couple laps were very unnerving for him, but he was able to take it home. Unfortunately, not going to be the case for him here today. He's already out of this race. We saw that incident in the inner loop. Same one that we saw from Nathan Westland, but at a more inconvenient time for him strategy-wise. Play ball, trying to chase down James Foreman still. Maybe a bit of a stalemate for the two here. They trade sectors, they trade laps. But Foreman probably not going to be fighting it too hard. Has less to gain here, is the championship winner, regardless, in GTDB, is the B-class winner for the race, regardless, whether he gets passed by Claybaugh or not. We may not see really stout defense from him here, but the points are still the points. And I think that you definitely would like to stay ahead of Tyler Langenberg. Langenberg is ahead of him, not enough that he's going to get those spots back, but Foreman does not want to lose a lot of positions and potentially lose that second place overall honors, which would be really impressive, not just for any driver, but for the B-class drivers, especially to have that kind of consistency, because we haven't seen just an overwhelming number of wins from James Foreman. He's tied on the season with Jack Lucas and Nathan Westland. This would be able, this right here, this race would allow him to take that lead between those three drivers. But the real game changer for him has been 15 podiums. Jack Lucas only 10, Nathan Westland just 7, which still very impressive in their own rights. But the consistency from James Foreman to always be up there at the top, even if he's not the one winning, has been what's really put him in not just a winning position, but a pretty dominant winning position. 47 points up on Jesse Coffey, and currently slated to get even more up on him here. Again, James Foreman only missed a single race on the season, which has definitely helped him out as well. Allows him to have bad races, although really most of his drops just come from the very start of the season. 3 of his drops from the first 3 races. So didn't start out the season as a front runner for the title. Only 26 points in Daytona and Sebring, only 34 at the Indy Road Course. Really started to put it on. Has really good performance in Willow Springs in round 5. And just goes to show how much the story can change through the season, because he was not the guy that we kind of expected. Maybe coming into the season, we expect him as a contender, but through those first 3 races, it seemed like it was some other drivers who were going to be putting it up there as the top B-class guy, and then just through that sheer consistency, race after race, it didn't even get his first win until we got all the way, I think, to Silverstone, potentially. Actually, the Will Springs race might have been a win, but Silverstone finished 2nd overall. Yeah, just a good season for Foreman as he continues to now actually pull away from Claybaugh. Claybaugh made a couple mistakes there. Go back to that battle for 9th and 10th for Ranieri and Watson. Ranieri, haven't seen him in a while here. So potentially, if I'm not incorrect, maybe the first race since Silverstone. So haven't had him back for a while here, but a familiar face so far on the season. The best result was Willow Springs and Fuji. Had 34 points from those races, and that would mean an 11th place. So Ranieri currently, despite the time off, is on for a best result of the season whether he maintains this spot from Tony Watson or not. It's good showing so far as we get close to that 1 hour mark. In the GTPs, I do wish there was something to talk about with them, but there's just 20 seconds, 25 seconds, 38 seconds between the positions right now. The strategy is something we're looking out for as far as, does Skip need to pit again? Probably. Does Jay Smart have the ability to take it to the end with one stop? Probably. Those will get solved really in just the closing minutes of this race. Skip is going to continue to lead handily with that gap on Nick Terrell, but it does seem like they are on different strategies. Now, the last lap there for Skip, a 33.7, so very slow. I don't know if traffic slowed him down enough to explain that, or if he is doing some just absolutely massive fuel saving to try to stretch it from that initial pit stop at lap 26. I mean, we're already 12 laps now on from that pit stop still, with another over 30 minutes to go. It's going to be a big ask. I mean, that's another 20 laps for him to try to take it and see if it's possible. At least 20 laps. But we follow him here on board as he's picking his way through some of this traffic. John Kelly may have just had an incident there. He's slow going. Didn't go off track, but yeah, slow going there on the outer loop. I think maybe just getting a little bit squirrely. Well, we have not pinged for an incident somehow, despite losing that time. It's Andrew McMurray right in front of him. Oh, that's a little bit of a scary moment there for John Kelly. I thought he was actually going to push out a little bit wider than that, but gets his way by, takes the opposite line. As far as drivers we have out of this race in the GTPs, we have lost Nicholas Paletti and Paul Boyle. David Tamira did not take the start. Didn't think that Brett Williams did, but they did. He had to start from the back of the field, like the entire field. But he did take the start. But David Tamira not taking the start, nor did he put a qualifying time in. In the GTD field, we have now lost Mauricio Parada. Maybe got another penalty and just didn't want to keep serving those drive-thrus. Didn't see any big crash for him. But we have lost Mauricio Parada. Nick Gielis is currently in the pits. Seems like he has been. He's been in the pits now for 28 minutes. So he is in the session. I guess we probably are not expecting him to take the race again. Car looks repaired. So probably not going to see him for the rest of this race. Ryan Jeevan out of this race. I must have missed when that happened. That is unfortunate for him. I wanted to see where that Ford would be able to go. Sheldon Rosenbaum, we saw that incident happen in the inner loop, and Sean Atkins crashed down at the outside. Austin Diltz not taking the start. So those are the drivers we've lost for today's race. Well, meanwhile, actually, this came out of nowhere. Westland catching up quickly to Travis Bell. The gap was much larger. Did Bell maybe make a mistake, maybe on the outer loop, inner loop, outer loop, something like that? Now down to 3/10. Westland all over the back of Travis Bell's bumper. John Kelly is going to come up on him, currently in 5th off that podium spot last week. Doesn't look to be in the cards here today. You never know what's going to happen. 3 different makes of GTP cars that we got here tonight as well. Most of the drivers in the Porsche, including 3 of them that we don't have here anymore. Nick Terrell and Jay Smart both running the Acura, and Brett Williams is the lone runner of the Cadillac. It's not been a popular car on the season for any of the drivers of the Cadillac. If I'm not mistaken, it is pretty popular in the Open Series on the officials, but I think maybe the fixed setups just not treating it too friendly here in this series. And the setups that we use here are not created by us. They are just the iRacing official setups. So drivers can complain to iRacing if they don't like them. Westland chasing down Travis Bell. Has been slower in every sector now, as you can see in those last 5, especially that every lap, excuse me, but lap 30 especially. But there must not have been an incident for Travis Bell. Just I didn't really see Westland starting to creep up. Oh, and he touched the wall there. Westland did. That was, again, we saw Jesse Coffey earlier in the race get mighty close with that. I thought he may have touched it. That right there, you could hear him. You could see the spark of Westland touching it. Goes pretty wide there on the exit of outer loop, but gets it back on track. Westland has been an exciting car to watch here tonight. Unfortunate to have that incident there in the inner loop. See what he can recover in this race despite that incident. That's Jay Smart through in the tow. Does break up the battle just a little bit, but still 6/10 is just separating these two. Ken Huber has started to really pull away from Tyler Langenberg through the first stint. It was close. Even after Huber got by, Langenberg didn't really let him get too far ahead. Now through this second stint, it has definitely started to go the way of Huber. Huber, even though he's in a different car this time, still a second slower, or a second less on the pit stop, faster pit stop than everybody in the field except for Jack Lucas. And then the last lap, I mean, Ken Huber was a 46.8, and Tyler Langenberg down at a 47.2. Tyler Langenberg does still have the fastest lap of the race, though, by 800s, excuse me, over Ken Huber's time. See if that's able to get topped later in the race when that fuel really starts to burn down. But he may be able to take that away here in today's event. And not something that I don't think we've seen. Yeah, sure enough. Yeah, we have not seen that happen a single time on the season from Tyler Langenberg specifically. We haven't seen any fast laps for him. He's always there. Second most podiums. Should still be the second most. Oh, Nathan Westland, what a save. What a save through the inner loop and outer loop. I cannot believe he caught that. Did you see him on the wheel there? Let us watch that from a... Oh, I don't have a replay because he wasn't off track. Unfortunate that we won't be able to get to see that again. Got to watch that on board, though, through that roll bar cam, and just all over the wheel. Can't believe he got that saved and didn't even really lose that much time. He's back to 6/10 again from Travis Bell. Oh, he's testing the limits out there again. He is having a raucous race so far tonight. Still's got 25 minutes to go. At least, get the car home, Nathan. But trying to get those points. And didn't seem coming into tonight. I don't think he really had any chance of moving up in the championship standings. Was about 20 points, a little bit less than 20 points back from Jack Lucas. Jack Lucas is ahead of him. Jesse Coffey, the driver in front of that, also ahead of him. So didn't have any threat from behind. He was 50 points ahead of Zach Nurnberger, who's missed a few of these races late in the season. So he was going to be fine for the B class, staying in fourth. But of course, still out here competing. Philip Rainieri's had a good defense on Tony Watson. Watson caught up pretty quick, and it seemed like it was going to be over, but Rainieri has not ceded the position yet. He's still ahead. This is as close as it's been, though. Into the 90, Watson electing not to make anything happen. Had got it down to 2/10. Does have a better run, now up through the S's, but he's kind of stuck here unless he's trying to make something happen. He's going to have to get out of it at some point unless he's able to move. Is Rainieri going to defend the inside? Rainieri's going to take the outside of this corner. Tony Watson's got enough to try to send it down the inside. Is the move going to get done? Rainieri not able to defend it. Tony Watson gets the spot up to 9th. Wonderful move for him. Unfortunately, as these two have been battling, they've continued to fall away from the other battle that we just had on screen that's still raging hot here, but 11 seconds now up from Tony Watson to Nathan Westland. It's going to be a big ask to try to get another spot for Watson in this race after starting in second. 9th may be the best he's able to salvage here tonight. Let's watch that pass again. Seems like we're safe here. It's this pass that Tony Watson made on Rainieri into the inner loop. Wasn't even really ahead. Just so much more brave on the braking. A great line that he took through there. Rainieri a little bit cautious. But Watson, taking the opportunities he's got. Wide for Westland into the final corner. We have Rainieri still close with Watson. He's 2/10 back. They are still raging between the two. And Cody Height and Kyle Stambaugh have started a little scuffle a little bit further back. Kyle Stambaugh behind Cody Height, trying to get a spot. Doesn't look like anything's going to happen in that section. Let's make sure Westland's not able to make a move here into the inner loop. He is very close. It's 10th.5, but it doesn't have the overspeed that we saw Tony Watson have on the previous lap. He's just going to have to back out of that one, I'm afraid. You got to be more than close. You got to be close, and you got to have a run. Does Rainieri have a run on Tony Watson? Is he going to get him back? Watson defending the inside, the same line that he took to take the spot, this time ahead, though, and definitely the right move for him to take. But Rainieri is definitely in there to threaten Tony Watson's position a little bit. Kyle Stambaugh, is he going to make something happen? Looks like he's content to stay behind for this lap. Seemed like he was close enough to at least do a little bit of a dummy move to the outside, but playing nice with Cody Height in front. Hard to tell exactly which battle to follow here, as they are not just close, but really fluctuating back and forth with the pace that they've got. Down through the chute, 4/10 separating these two, 4/10 separating Watson and Rainieri as well. And wide for Watson. That may not be an off track. I'm not sure. I feel like if it is, then more drivers would be sweating bullets right now with some potential drive-throughs coming up. I know they can be lenient on some of the track limits here. It might be one that you are able to get away with. That generally isn't one you can, because it is faster to go out wide there. But so far, I think the only drive-through we've seen was from Mauricio Parada, who is out of this race. Don't think I've seen any others. Not multiple pit stops for anybody else, at least. Stambaugh chases through the final corner, has brought it down to a 10th. He's already pulling out to the side, had a better exit. Can he get Cody Height into turn 1, into the 90? He's going to be on the inside. It's usually the preferred line. He sends it a little bit deeper on the brakes. Cody Height is going to be unable to really defend that one. Nice move for Kyle Stambaugh, and not even too threatened behind, but he's got to worry about Nick Terrell not leaving him out to dry on the outside of the S's. Gets back in behind, a little bit of tow for good measure, and it looks like he's going to be able to stay ahead of Cody Height for that 12th place spot. 14 seconds to Andrew McMurray ahead, though. So this battle between the two may continue to go on, but I don't think that another spot is going to be in the cards for Kyle Stambaugh. Up one spot from his qualifying position of 13th, however. Cody Height himself, despite losing that spot, is up 2 as well. Our biggest gainer on the race is Andrew McMurray. Big shocker. Was a big gainer in the last 2 races, and doing so again here today. Nathan Westland trying to match that, though. He's up 4, and he's got a driver in front. Philip Rainieri actually in the same kind of position. Just got passed by Tony Watson. Was up 5 at that point, down to up 4. Very wide for Nathan Westland. We've seen him really teasing those track limits. I have to wonder if he's racking up those points. Again, not a big deal as far as getting the safety points for championship considerations, but if he earns enough to get a drive-through, it's going to be a little bit more painful for him, I think. It seems like this race result is what's the most interesting thing for him here today. We've seen him take more risks here in this race. I think we generally see him a lot of the season. There's been races where I'm frustrated. He hasn't taken more risks, but he has landed all out on the line here today, trying to catch up to Travis Bell. We're down to less than 20 minutes remaining, with just a couple battles happening right now. I want to make sure that we get the last bit of action. Oh, Nathan Westland, again, so scary through the exit of the inner loop. We got to be on board with him every lap through there. But terrifying. And right now, this is the only battle right now, sub 1 second. We're going to take another couple-minute break. Be right back with you and take it to the end of the race. In this season finale, we have our GTDA winner and B winner already coming into this race, and then unfortunately, before half of the first lap was even done, Nick Terrell already clinches that GTP title. But we will be back in just a few minutes. with this familiar battle on screen. Westland still chasing down Bell. But another battle, and just broke a second there, but another battle that has developed. It's been a little interesting is Jack Lucas in 5th. He's up 4 already. Trying to make a claim on that 4th place spot from Aaron Claybaugh. Had brought it down to about 8/10 on the previous lap. Jack Lucas was 6/10 faster than Aaron Claybaugh. Almost 7/10 actually. So we may be able to make a move later in the race. Got 15 minutes to go. Not a lot of time left. Only expecting about 10 laps for the GTPs. Maybe pretty close on the white flag. We'll see when it comes time for that. Cody Height still staying close with Kyle Stanbaugh after that move Stanbaugh made earlier. And Ranieri is the only battle that we had that is starting to peter out a little bit. It's actually kind of going the opposite direction. Ranieri now 2.3 seconds back from Watson, and Andrew McMurray has closed up to under a second. Height and Stanbaugh still close with each other, both in the BMW. Curiously, 5 positions in a row from 12th to 16th in that BMW. 3 of them up in the top 7. The most used car here tonight. Hasn't been necessarily throughout the whole season, but it does seem to suit this track well. And Aaron Claybaugh is your top runner in those BMWs. Not surprising to see there. This definitely a match as far as driver, car, and track. Claybaugh and the BMW at Watkins Glen is a really good pairing that has produced a lot of good results. He has to drive defensively here at the end to make sure he stays ahead of Jack Lucas. He's keeping him around that 1 second mark. Westland not quite close enough to make something happen, but that's as close as he's been. Clambering over those curbs. Does he potentially have a run through the outer loop? It looked like he was a little bit faster there. He was. He breaks it down sub 2/10. Goes wide again. Oh, is he going to send it down the inside? He is. Not quite enough to make something happen. That was a cool move, though. Almost, if he could have got a little bit deeper on the brakes there. But strong driving for Travis Bell in front to not get too disturbed by that and thrown off his rhythm. Ooh, Cody Height gets Stanbaugh back. The positions swap again. Here was the position, or here was the move made. So through the inner loop, Stanbaugh just goes a little bit wide, and Height just surely gets a slowdown. He may have to give that spot back. Although maybe Height went off track as well. Actually, Height now he's 1.3 seconds ahead. So I guess didn't earn a slowdown for that. Obviously was just avoiding Kyle Stanbaugh in front. Wasn't just trying to cut the track, but that was the safest option for him at that point. Three-tenths right now for Andrew McMurray, just behind Philip Ranieri. Ranieri was doing so well on defending from Tony Watson, and after he kind of lost touch of Watson, because he still fought back pretty hard afterwards, I wonder if just the tires are starting to go on him. I mean, he pit around the same time as everybody else. Lap 22 for Philip Ranieri, and the exact same lap for Andrew McMurray behind. I don't think we have anybody else that needs to make a pit stop outside of potentially Paul Skip, maybe Jay Smart. More likely Skip than anything else. He's got a 23-second lead, so he's extended that gap out up front, which makes me more think that he is not taking it easy, and he's trying to get maybe a pit stop gap. I don't think he has one with 23 seconds. Maybe an F1 pit stop gap, but with these GTPs, not so much. McMurray very close in the braking zone. Nathan, of course, right when we look away, Nathan Westland's got the spot on Travis Bell. Travis Bell fighting back. He's got a good run down the inside into tow. Who's gonna win here? Bell is ahead. Westland's got the inside line. More speed for Bell on the outside. They trade back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. Bell in ahead by just a nose. More than a nose. And Westland's gonna have to back out and get back in line. Both clean through the exit of heel. See how that trade of positions went. Again, Westland more brave on the outside. He did it. He did do the inside move, and Bell let him have it as he did a little bit of an undercut there. Nice move for Bell to reclaim that position, because that was a tough move for Westland to make, but very cognizant of Bell to understand exactly what to do in response. Stays ahead here as we come through this section. down into turn 1. Brett Williams is making a second pit stop. So he pit, I think, around the same kind of time that we saw Paul Skip. We got less than 10 minutes to go. We're maybe expecting a Paul Skip pit stop soon. Fortunately, that 2-stop strategy has gone against him in a few races. It may go against him again here today. Of course, maybe just the pace to run a 1-stop. Maybe he still wouldn't be in that first place position. Hard to say. He does have a very good gap. I mean, 22 seconds is a strong, healthy gap. But I know that some of the drivers in the interviews have said doing that 1-stop strategy, they've really had to take it easy. Westland, I think, too wide there that time, was a 10th back and then through the exit of the outer loop, losing a lot of time. Andrew McMurray has had an incident. He's in the pits. He was so close with Philip Ranieri, chasing him down through the inner loop, gets a bit of a weird bump and a big drift, huge tank slapper into the wall. If he hadn't tried to correct it, he unfortunately probably would have been okay. Oh, and then also Cody Height losing out to Kyle Stambaugh, and I think he goes off track, loses some spot, but let's make sure Lucas doesn't get Claybaugh here. Okay, check this replay here real quick. This was Cody Height in front, total spin out there in inner loop. I think he's able to keep it out of the wall. I don't hear any crash. That's why he's 3 seconds behind now. Lucas has got it down to just 2.5 tenths to Aaron Claybaugh in front with just about 8 minutes to go. Paul Skip is in the pits. Pit lane for Paul Skip. And this is probably going to undo him in the standings. He's been the race leader for the last little bit here. Nick Terrell should be able to take that back. So Terrell didn't need to win today after the first lap incident for Nicholas Paletti. May be able to do it regardless. We saw Jay Smart have a pretty dramatic incident, and it kind of took him out of contention, unfortunately, even though it was within the pit window. Really must have lost more time than I had initially anticipated, limping it back to the pits with that damaged car. Nick Terrell has a very healthy gap on Jay Smart behind. Skip does come out ahead of Smart even, so Smart really losing a lot of time. Actually, Jay Smart has 2 pit stops, so there's another stop that I must have missed. He's stopped 2 times in this race. But Lucas was that, but he's just trying to fill the mirrors of Aaron Claybaugh in front. Is going to try it, not going to try it. He's swinging in and out. Jesse Coffey not that far back. He's catching up in the background there. This has been so close between these two, but especially over the last couple laps. That's when it's really dropped down here. I mean, crossing the line, Lucas has been more than a second back in all these last 5 laps. This is definitely going to be the closest he's been so far. Just trying to get to that 4th place spot. Lucas is on the podium for the B-Class drivers. Him and Jesse Coffey both there. Jesse Coffey will finish this season, as long as he's still right there, will finish this season in 2nd place for the B-Class. James Foreman has had command of it for quite a while, has had it locked up for at least a few races now, I believe. But a lot of tough competition behind for those 2nd, 3rd, 4th spots. And it looks like Jesse Coffey's going to be able to come out on top. Was leading the championship earlier in the season. Jack Lucas had some strong form later in the season. Oh, Lucas has to bail out of that one. Luckily, there's not that wall there to crash into, but he's going to maybe lose out to Coffey here. He just got distracted. By the driver in front. Goes off track, and Jesse Coffey now is going to reclaim that 5th place spot back in front. Lucas can definitely fight back for it. Will he be able to do so? Westland still close with Bell. We'll keep an eye on. Oh, we actually got to go to that, I think. It's down to 10th and a half. Is it going to be another move down into the chute? He's pulling into the inside. He's telegraphing it a little bit too much at this point. I think Bell knows that's coming. Lucas just the 10th back right now. Andrew McMurray out of this race after that incident just a little bit ago. Probably will be our last retirement of the race here tonight. Not a lot of incidents here at the end. Drivers being really clean, even though there's definitely been some battling going on. But of course, McMurray was an example of 2 drivers hitting each other where there was an incident happening. all in all, very clean driving between all these guys. Lucas down to 3/10. Westland has done something to make a mistake to fall off the back of Travis Bell, which with less than 5 minutes to go, yeah, it's going to be difficult. He's trying to catch up, but it's just you don't want to waste your time doing that. You want to be hounding him the entire time, which is what Lucas is doing right now to Coffee, trying to get that spot back after the mistake in the inner loop last lap around. Is he going to be able to make something happen into the inner loop this time? He's got the overspeed. He's closed it down to a 10th.5. Which direction? Coffee's just occupying the center of the track, shading out to the inside. Jack Lucas wants the inside, does not have the overlap to deserve that space, at least as of that point. Very close between those two. Brave driving by Jesse Coffee in front as well. Knows that he deserves that space, cuts across. Doesn't need to give Lucas the room there, as if he's just going to send it up the inside, which he didn't. Lucas keeping it clean. Knows the limits of the car. Just trying to do his best to challenge. Claybaugh got to be happy about this, though. Of course, Claybaugh got bailed out by Lucas's mistake behind, but then this battling between the two also slows him down a little bit. Coffee's a second back from Claybaugh. So we try to kind of anticipate when the flag is going to come. Daryl's right here on our screen, coming up to the end of the lap. They do about 1.5 laps. They're now actually quite slow. Nick Darrell's last lap was a 1:36. So bad traffic for him. That's why Skip has brought it down to under 10 seconds. But with 3 minutes almost on the dot remaining, this is going to be a really close white flag. I think they're going to get the white flag next lap. It is going to be really tight on if that actually gets thrown. Some of the drivers out here are going to be a little more enthused to see an early white flag than others. Lucas wants some time because he's now fallen off the back of Jesse Coffee a bit, letting some traffic on their way through. Westland would like some more time to try to catch up. He's still outside of 1 second. Just now breaks it under, and then he's back out again. I think he may not be able to get that move done here at the end of this race. Lucas has a shot. Paul Skip back there, charging hard. Skip running fast. He's obviously on the two-step strategy, which allows him to just push a lot more than Terrell can. Terrell's still doing fuel saving. Just because he made the pit stop does not mean that he's safe. He still's got a fuel save to the end here. That's why we see Skip continuing to catch up. I just think it's a little bit too little too late. It does look like the two-stop strategy is more feasible here than in some of the other races where it's really even taken Skip out of the podium spots. But Smart is going really fast as well. He's just behind these guys. He's down to sub 3 seconds back from Skip. Smart has been the fastest driver on track, no question. He pulled away from Skip to the tune of 30 seconds at one point in the first stint before some errors, I guess, took him out of this race. I mean, we obviously saw the one, but I think there may have been another given that he's pit twice. I think that he was on a one-stop kind of strategy, but he has been flying out there. Skip's still catching up to Terrell. It's just a little too late. Did Terrell get the white flag here? Not the greatest view. I couldn't tell. I think he probably got the white flag there. He crossed with exactly 1.5 minutes remaining. They're running 1:34 now. The best they can even do is, well, for Terrell is a 1:31.7. So expect this to be the last lap. I don't have confirmation, though, on that being a white flag. But Terrell, the championship leader for the last couple of races, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he was always sitting back there on the podiums. He was collecting those safety points, and that's what really came to be the benefit for him at the end of the year. Showing up to almost every race. I think really only missed the very first race. Had some connection issues at Road Atlanta, some unfortunate incidents for him there, but has clawed back, especially here late in the season, to get the results when it mattered. And tonight didn't need to do a lot, just needed to get on the podium or earn any amount of safety points. I don't know how he's doing on the safety points, but a podium is definitely in the cards for him here today. He's going to get a victory as he pulls around through the heel on what I believe is the final lap. We'll see when we come to the finish line here. But Nick Terrell, what a story that he's had on the season. It has not been one that has typically gone his way in the race results. Again, this would only be win number 4 on the season for Terrell. Yes, we have hit that 1.5 minute mark. This is going to be the checkered flag coming across the line. Nick Terrell didn't need a win, did it anyway, got the victory by 6 seconds. Your championship winner is Nick Terrell with this gigantic 20-race season. Still close between the other 2 GTPs. Jay Smart unable to catch up to Paul Skip right at the very end of the race. Tyler Langenberg finishes on a different lap than Ken Huber, so he is going to be in second. And wow, how curious, too. James Foreman coming across the line. He's going to win, and all of our class winners for the season are our race winners here today. Foreman, Terrell, and Huber. What a coincidence to have that happen. Jesse Coffey was not able to get Aaron Claybaugh at the line. Nathan Westland unable to get to Travis Bell, although did make a charge late to try to make something happen. James Foreman, fantastic victory for him. He's doing the donuts. Ken Huber's still out on track on a totally different lap. Huber is going to be the unquestioned victor, not just of this race, but of this season. Won some races in absolutely dominant fashion, made some comeback races, really improved qualifying for him throughout the season. Didn't earn a lot of poles at the start of the season, but throughout the year, just continued to get faster and faster in qualifying. What was already an unstoppable race pace machine, he turned into the all-rounder. And no one able to really compete with him week in, week out. A couple times he got some scares. Nearly got a podium in every single race this season outside of a wet race last week that didn't go his way. Ken Huber has been at the top step a lot, but now he officially books a top step, not just in this race here tonight with race winner Nick Terrell behind him, but also a winner on the season. 785 points coming in today. He's going to raise that even more, probably up to 800 something. No one was even close. Foreman still doing some donuts there. Are we going to get some donuts from Huber? Nick Terrell. Oh, he's not on track either. Still with us some long donuts for James Foreman. He's trying to burn the tires off. We are going to get to the official results here. For the GTP class, race winner Nick Terrell. Didn't need to do it. Didn't need to get the win. Just needed to do enough, and he absolutely did enough here today. Did more than enough. Terrell wins by 6.5 seconds over Paul Skip, who will come in second in the championship. Jay Smart in third place with Brett Williams on debut here in fourth with John Kelly in fifth. Nicholas Paletti, unfortunately, not finishing the race. Came into the race in second place. Will come out in third. Paul Boyle finishes in seventh with David Tamir on debut. Did not start the race, but we may see him next season. GTD, jumping over to them, Ken Huber. Another familiar win for Ken, up in first. Finished on a different lap. Again, familiar result for him. Still was only 5 seconds ahead, which is kind of a close race for Ken, all things considered on the season. Tyler Langenberg comes in second, and he's second in the championship as well for the A-class. James Foreman wins the B-class with an overall podium. Aaron Claybaugh in fourth, and Jesse Coffey gets into the top 5. Jack Lucas, sixth with Travis Bell in seventh. Nathan Westland, eighth. Tony Watson gets another top 10 in ninth. And Kyle Stambaugh on debut gets into the top 10. Behind them, Philip Ranieri, Cody Height, Travis Rowe, Todd Schneider, and Andrew McMurray for the top 15. Mauricio Parada, Ryan Jeevan, Nick Gielis, Sheldon Rosenbaum, and Sean Adkins not finishing the race, as well as Austin Diltz, who we did not see take the start. All right, we got some drivers in the waiting room. No confusion here because the drivers who won the race are our championship victors. So let's get our GTP class winner, the guy who didn't know he was coming into this race as the winner. Let's bring him in for some interviews. Nick, you got me in the booth.
Yeah, I do.
So you didn't know, you're the only driver coming into the night for the race or for the championship winners, that didn't know for sure you were going to come out tonight with that. Of course, you didn't need to do a lot. You just needed to get a podium or any amount of safety points, but you did a lot more than that here today. You got the race win as well. How was that for you?
I'm glad it worked out. I was playing with the numbers a little bit to see if there even was possible to one-stop that. I had like a fuel target in mind. And I was like, you know what? If I'm trying to hit a fuel target, I'm also going to be driving safer because I'm not be trying to do any sort of full push, try to do a finish position type thing. And ended up working out. I figured that with like just a drive through, I knew about how long it took, and I knew about how long it would take to come in and get a few gallons of fuel and come back out. And it was a pretty decent gap. It was like, uh, forget exactly. I can look real quick, but it was gonna be like 29 to 30 seconds difference to be made up just by not having to take that. So it was like one of those deals. Do I risk it? Yeah, so I just went for it to keep me safer.
Yeah, it did look like one of the races that was kind of the most close on the one stop, two stop strategy, which one was preferable. Obviously, you went for the one. We're able to actually go a good amount past that 45-minute mark. Obviously, a lot of this season, you were going for that one stop strategy, at least when it was possible. And now with the GTPs, of course, we're past the age of them. But what do you think is probably the best tip or the best tool to use for fuel saving in these cars? I mean, they're so fast, and you're trying to get so much out of the speed, but to drive slow is a bit of a weird thing to do as a sim racer.
Yeah, honestly, on that last bit, once I went by Skip after his second stop, I was looking to see how many estimated laps there were. It was teetering on 157 or 58. I had enough fuel anyway, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to not run out just in case. But just the simple tip that, I mean, I say simple, but just a methodical sort of tip that I would oftentimes do is I would figure out about how long like my push time for my laps are. I do some save laps just to see. I'd see like what sort of fuel burn I have on fuel on push and save. I kind of have a fuel number in mind as far as how many estimated laps there'd be. We know how many gallons because we know the size of the fuel tank. So usually see if it could fit under two, or if not, if it was close, and then kind of see, well, if I can save enough laps, it might be close, but is it enough time depending on the size of the pit? So it's just there's a lot of variance, but that's what makes it like more like chess instead of checkers because I had written down on my little notes here. I had like a full splash strat. I had a one stop strat. I had a two stop with tires each time strat. So I knew like how much fuel to take each time. And I saw that Jay and Nick were quicker than what times I was putting down. So I was like, well, I'm not trying to push strat because I'm not going to be able to push that hard and be competitive as I'd like to be. So I was like, well, I'm going to do the fuel save strat.
Now, on the topic of strategy, of course, this is a long season. This started all the way back in January. We are now in May. I mean, rivaling real motorsports number of races in a season, 20 races. How did your strategy evolve through? Of course, you didn't even make the first race, but from race 2 onwards, how did that strategy evolve? Because you didn't, I mean, coming into races, I think you only came into 3 races as the championship leader, but of course, were the championship leader when it mattered most here at the end.
Yeah, I was really bummed, but missing that first race of the season. But I wasn't even at home. We were dealing with COVID and like out of state and everything. So it was like nothing I could have done there. So it was just one of those deals like, well, I got to make up those 5 points somewhere just in case they matter at the end because I'm not Nostradamus or anything. I know with all the drop weeks and 19 more races at that point in time and everything that it was going to be a matter of who could be consistent. So I was like thinking like NASCAR style, like Mark Martin and like those types of guys, just finish at or near podium. Don't don't accrue a buttload of incidents. Keep the bonuses coming in because if you could have drop weeks but get bonuses on those drop weeks, that offsets the first race bonus that I missed and then some. So yeah, that was definitely the deciding factor this season.
Well, you had a incredible season, start to finish. Played the strategy game as well as you could to come out here in what still ended up being an ultra close finale. Got yourself some extra buffer points with the victory, of course, and does look like Paul Skip coming in second for the championship as well. So, with this long season, did you have any people that you wanted to thank or give a shout out to?
I'd like to thank Paul Skip and Nick Paletti for making me rack my brain on like way more prep than I normally would have been doing on some of these race weeks, just to try to think of alternatives to make me dig deeper a little bit. So I kind of honed my race engineering skills a fair bit more thanks to those guys. Thanks to Mark and Nick and Aaron and everybody else that's put this season and league and everything on you immensely for especially the solo casting that you've been doing. I find myself enjoying yours more than the ones that have two and three hosts them a lot of times. Just you're able to transition and you have a knack for it, man. And then the my better half that puts up with this hobby of mine, she knows though if it wasn't this, I'd probably have a 800 to 1,000 plus horsepower car that I have out in the garage that is just waiting for mods, or I'd be looking to tinker with my leader sport bike that's out in the shop out back. So this keeps enough of a toe dip into the adrenaline pond to keep me alive and safe, especially around the crazy ass Charleston drivers that we have here.
Well, congratulations again on a great season. Came in the race in a pretty good situation. Did even more than you had to get that victory. And congratulations. And I hope you enjoy that Alien Awards plaque you're about to get as the victor for the GTP class here this season.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm about to put some of my woodworking tools to use and make a little shelf for some of these I've been getting. So yeah, big thanks to Roger Shank. Actually, it was on my mind to thank him. And then Jeff, I know it sounded like he sponsored a couple of races and stuff too. So Ninja Botanicals and all that good stuff. So yeah, thanks. I'm glad it's end of the season. Looking forward to the GTDs. I'll be around, but I won't be in as a competitive of a strategy. I'll still be I'll be making my kickball games more priority first, and then if I can make the E4A races, I'll be around to play around and see what I can do with the Corvette. I imagine. So looking forward to it. Seeing if I can give Ken some 4Xs here and there, maybe, and on to the new season.
Looking forward to those appearances. Congratulations again. You have a good night, Nick.
You too, Zach. Thanks. Bye.
That was your championship and race winner, Nick Terrell. We're going to bring in our A-class winner tonight, Ken Huber. Ken, you got me in the booth.
Hey, Zach, how's it going?
It is going good. Obviously, you had the championship wrapped up many races ago. I mean, I think you've got like 200 points on like the driver behind, but still came in the race and didn't start on pole here today. You had to claw back some positions to get to that victory. Still did it. Won by I think 5 or 6 seconds. What was it like here today? Because I think I'd say your qualifying performance, especially over the second half of the season, racking up a lot of pole positions. This time having to actually make some moves.
Yeah, no, I didn't get the pole. You know, obviously you probably see me in a new car tonight too, so
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of getting used to that. But no, it was an awesome race. I had Tony Watson and Tyler Langenberg, and Langenberg, he had a great race. But I think the only reason I got by him is because I think he was dealing with some connection issues, which is too bad because he probably would have had an even better race. And I think he ended up letting me by because I don't know, maybe you seen something when I got around him, maybe he got loose or something, but he just seemed to have let me by. So hats off to Langenberg on that. That was a great run, and I seen he went to the Lambo, so he was showing that Lamborghini can still run. And I had to chase down a Lamborghini, so that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I caught that pass live. My theory was that I thought maybe he had gone wide in the 90 and had like a slowdown he had to serve. But if you didn't see that, then I have no clue what
Yeah,
happened
I don't
there.
know either. Yeah, that might have happened too. I don't know.
But so this is a long season, 20 races long, and of course at a we were at every race is as far as podiums. Almost got a podium in every race. Last week, unfortunately, didn't go your way with that difficult rainy Le Mans race, but a podium in every other race than that one. Winning in every counted race, which puts you among the ranks of Dennis Diaz and Terry Kiger Jr. as the only three drivers, excuse me, to be able to do that. What was like the primary thing that you think led to your success on the season? Because you were there from the first race. I mean, the first race you got second, which was like a bad result on the season for you.
Yeah, that was poor qualifying on my part on that one, and I think Eric, he was short on fuel. That I came really close. I was running him down at the end, but that race that would have been a close one if I hadn't screwed up my qualifying. But yeah, no, I just put my head down and I was actually talking to Foreman about this in the waiting room, and I started off the season. I just said I'm just going to be clean. We had a 20 race season, and I'm like, okay, this I can sink my teeth into a 20 race season. That makes sense to me. You know, last season we did 5 races, and it's like, yeah, you don't really put too much effort into that. But 20 races seemed like hey, that's a good number. And so all I focused on was being clean and racing the track and not my opponents. And I think that's what paid off overall is just trying to be as clean as possible and not making mistakes. And yeah, I was able to put that whole season together like that. I was pretty happy. Now, of course, people like Eric Bellata, who obviously would have been a chief contender of mine had he made all the races. And I'm kind of disappointed we didn't see him in the last half of the season, but maybe he's still healing up. But yeah, I would have enjoyed that. Then Terry Cowger not being allowed to compete, that would have been another factor in all that. So a lot of different things happened, but I'm happy to get this. I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, that's what it is. And by the way, if you want to know my fuel secrets, everybody want to know my fuel
Yes,
secrets?
we all do.
Well, everybody takes too much fuel, except for a couple guys. But most of the time, they're just taking too much fuel. It isn't. You can't depend on the fuel calculator. And this season, actually, I was disappointed. So when we started this season, um, the we only had one pit stop for the GT3s. I recognized that early, and I was actually kind of disappointed because I am good at pit stops. So I was thinking, past seasons we had at least make 2 pit
Yeah.
stops. And so that you couldn't really think about your fuel calculations until that second pit stop. So you were really thinking about tires, where you're going to take tires, or if you were going to take tires in previous seasons. So really wasn't a fuel thing; it was a tire thing. And then this season, I was like, oh, I'm not going to have that. But then the first race, I realized once you get to the halfway point of the race, all you have to do is look down and see how much fuel you've burned. That tells you how much fuel you got to put in. Now, usually I'll say, let's say I burned 19 gallons. Okay, that means I got to put 19 gallons in, or maybe whatever I have left in the tank that equals 19 gallons plus a lap is usually what I'll do. So if I'm running, 8/10 a gallon per lap and I need 19 gallons, I'll put 19.8 in, if that makes sense. So I wasn't depending on the fuel calculator. I was kind of depending on looking at the fuel gauge as soon as we reached the halfway point and then figuring out my fuel from there. Because when you're running with GTPs out there in multi-class racing, you really can't depend on your fuel calculator. Now the GTP guys can probably depend a lot more than we can. Because we're dictated by what they're doing. So that's kind of the secret. And there's a few other things. I do save a little bit of fuel in the corners and stuff, but those are all experience. Like there's times when you accelerate out of corner when it comes to saving fuel that you can mat it, but you don't actually gain any time by matting it. So you go like 3/4 throttle, you're still getting out of the corner the same speed, but you don't have it matted. So there's little things like that you can do.
It's an interesting peek behind the curtain there. Now, next season, going to only the GT3s, which is obviously a little more familiar for you than some of the guys in GTP that are going to have to relearn the GT3 cars again. You switched right there at the very end to the Ferrari. I know you said you like to stick with one for like a whole season. Do you already have kind of like an idea of what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, I want to race the Corvette, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it all summer. I live out here in northern Montana, and summer is about to hit, and it's hard to be behind the computer when the weather's so nice because we deal with long winters out here, and I don't want to be cooped up in my house. So I don't know how many races I make, but the Corvette's coming, and I love Corvettes. So it might be hard to keep me out of there. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Well, we look forward to seeing you when you come around. Do you have anybody you wanted to thank on the season?
I want to thank you for the broadcast. I want to thank Aaron Claybaugh especially because he was Johnny on the spot when it came to getting those points updated. That was totally awesome.
Absolutely.
You do a great job with the broadcast. Doing it solo is pretty amazing. And then I want to thank the winners tonight, James Foreman for his win and the win on the championship, and Nick Terrell. I guess he pulled it off tonight too.
Indeed, yep.
So and that's pretty much all I got. And thanks for having me in the league. So hopefully I didn't stink it up too much.
Oh, it was a great season and a great performance from you. We heard you plenty of times getting the victory up here. So it was nice having you up in the booth. And congratulations on one of the best seasons in E4A history here, Ken.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Now we're going to bring in our victor for the B class, James Foreman, getting the most wins for the B class as well with tonight's win. James got me in the booth.
Yeah, how's it going?
It is going good. It's been a little bit since we've heard from you, but today's win gets you the most victories in the B class. And what, as far as pole positions and wins and like that all seems like it's been really competitive. But then you've just been so so consistent with the podiums that you came out, you already came into the race as the victor. So what was the success story? I mean, you finished second overall, not just first for the B class, but you finished ahead of every A class driver except for Ken.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise that I finished second overall. Just when the season first started, I did really bad. I'd had a couple bad races and saw how competitive it was going to be, so I figured I'd take it serious and I'd just start practicing more for each track, try out different cars. usually a couple hours on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then race on Wednesday. So I had to buckle down, do a lot of practicing, and it looks like the results paid off.
Yeah, that was something I even pinked during the race. Yeah, those first 3 races definitely didn't go your way. 3 of your 5 drop weeks were those 3, and then another thing to mention too, one of your drop weeks, a missed race. That was the only one you missed. You made 19 of the 20 races in what's been a season since the start of January. Now that we're in May, I mean, what's the key to that kind of endurance? Because it may sound a little trivial. Oh, 19 races, 20 races. Like it really is a long season.
It was definitely a really long season. I get lucky because Wednesdays I get off work right when the server opens, so I can just run straight home from work and hop right on the computer. Middle of the week, usually everyone in my family and friends know that Wednesday nights is for me and not to disturb me until after the race is over. So I just love doing it, and so I kind of dedicate like everything to it basically as far as with my free time. So I just really enjoy doing this league racing with you guys.
Well, obviously tonight, Nick Terrell, he got a championship victory. He wasn't a stranger to it. He's got a couple championships on him. Ken Huber was really strong in Ofray last season, but this being, you've got now 2 seasons in a row where you've got a championship. You had the E4A GTD AM 2023 season 4. Now here for this giant 20 race season in the B class. You're in really good form, especially race pace, but qualifying seemed to improve for you during the season as well. What was kind of the key to that?
I would focus when I'd practice. I'd focus more on consistency and knowing like the track limits and how to go fast and not get any incident points. But with qualifying towards the end, I'd start figuring out how to use the whole track, like cut in and use all the runoff space. And just focused on trying to get faster instead of more consistent. So a bit of both, but mostly focusing on the speed part of it towards the second half.
And you made a key note there I was going to bring up as well, too. The safety points was something that you really capitalized on the season. Now, obviously to great effect over some of your rivals. I mean, you got safety points in every single race that you attended, with the exception of Barcelona a few weeks ago. And even in the races, at the start of the season that get dropped, you still got safety points from those. Those don't drop with it. What do you think is a good tip for drivers who are looking to keep their races more clean? Because obviously you've got something figured out.
I think it's basically know your limits, because I think a lot of guys go in there and they catch up to someone and they try to go too fast, and so they're going like out of bounds and driving a little reckless when they kind of get like a little bit excited when they catch up to someone. So with me, when I would catch up to someone, I would just follow them, and they'd eventually hopefully make a mistake, like give it too much gas going out of a corner so they lose speed, and you can pass them that way or do a dive on the inside. I think it's just more of a know your limits, basically.
Well, it took you a little bit into the season to make that championship surge happen, but once it did, you never looked back, and you owned that B class for a lot of that. Do you have anybody you wanted to thank for this really long E4A season and that class victory?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my girlfriend, because she actually doesn't give me too much trouble for coming home and racing on Wednesday nights. Of course, my daughter, I force her to watch some of the races, especially when I get an interview. And then my Destiny 2 friends that I have kind of neglected recently. I've been more focusing on iRacing and the league. So I'd like to thank them for being patient, and I'll be seeing them soon on Xbox.
Well, thank you for putting on a great show for this season. It's been a good victory, show of consistency up there at the top with so many podiums you got. So congratulations on that, and I hope you have a good night, James.
Yeah, and thank you for all the great broadcasts, because it's one of my favorite things to do after the race is make my traditional Stouffer's lasagna and watch the broadcast after. And you do a really great job. I really enjoy watching you. And thanks for broadcasting for a great season.
Appreciate the kind words, James. Appreciate you putting on some good racing out there. So have a good night, and congratulations again on that championship victory.
All right, you too. Thanks, man.
That was your GTDB winner, James Foreman. And the lights have gone black as we've now officially ended the session with these long interviews here. So, again, the racing is not over for Endurance for Amateurs. The season, 20-race season, finally wrapped up, but still racing. I should probably get up this schedule here for everybody. Starting in June 12th, so a couple weeks from now with 1 week off. June 12th will be the first race of the next season, starting at Road America, and that will last. That season will last from June until the end of August with a different format. It will be all GT3 cars. Hopefully, we're getting that Mustang and Corvette in there. That's the goal. But it will be the first time that the series will have both endurance and sprint races. So it'll be an interesting format where some of the races, single 110-minute races, some of them dual 50-minute races, some of them with some rain as well in the first or second half of the race. So again, if you're here for the racing, join Endurance for Amateurs. You can find us on Discord and get that information there. And everyone else, have a good night with a wonderful season, and congratulations to all of our victors.